there was Eddie, then Edna, and the squalid little time Edna calls Eddie's first marriage. It was a pity, really, Edna says, being generous. She didn't even know how to get smoke out of her carpet. Over to the left, Eddie's cigars are dealt with either poker or an exciting ball game, and that includes kickball in the alley. In the midst of this, Larry the dog lasted 2 weeks and died promptly after eating a case of Eddie's cigars. It was a shame, really, Edna says, but we loved him well and we got every last hair out of that shag carpet. Edna's miscarriage silenced the hope of children. And now Edna speaks more slowly, occasionally talking to her lost Melba, giving her cleaning tips shared not even with her coffee buddies. Dusting and amusing take up most of the day now, and by the time Eddie gets home, she's peaceful and relaxed, ready to take the onslaught of Eddie's smoke and nonsense. Eddie says...
I heard that.
Eddie says...
When I pulled the Chevy onto the parking pad, I just slid into home. Doing an action. Edna! There's no King of Hearts in this deck. What happened to it?
The King of Hearts?
I don't know where it is.
You know, I think I lent that to the neighbors. Eddie's reflecting today because it's Poker Friday, and Edna's cooking a pot of pea soup. Cuts through the cigar smoke, lifts his nose towards the hallway. He loves it poured over toast points, just like chicken a la king.
What a good idea remote control was.
Eddie thinks, if only he'd acted on it. He invented 100 things before they came out. Well, I guess you never know when your ideas are great.
Hey Edna, come help me put the poker top on the card table.
What a good idea flavored coffees were. Powdered too. Damn if you didn't see that one come. Fingers drumming on the poker top like a player piano. Eddie leans over and blows some ashes out of one of the wells.
Edna, what if we paved over Lake Michigan? Not all of it. We wouldn't interrupt the forest at all. We could call it the Michigan Baden Primo property.
The afternoon light sets the poker top in an excellent orange glow. You should take a picture of that. Silent den, empty room before the game. Eddie, relaxed, vague, thumbs his pocket for another cigar, smacking his lips, a little hungry now.
Hey Edna, you coming down here or what? Could you at least answer me?
What?
Are you coming down here?
Honey, you know I can't hear a word you're saying.
What? Edna's got a bug in her pants. Not figuratively, it's a real bug. First she thought it was rough plaid material, poking up a fiber through the Dacron pants. But no, it's a bug. And when she's still, it squirms. But then she thinks,
You know, if I were a bug caught between a huge thigh and a sofa, well, I'd be more than squirming.
and this really gets to Edna, and she starts to think that she is a bug caught between a huge thigh and a prickly sofa, and what with planes and phones scouring the world, this world has become pretty collapsible. It's pretty damn big and navigable all at once. And here she is, sandwiched in her tract home, speaking English. It's something she can't explain. Like when she thinks of yeast cakes. Like,
You know, we're so tiny, but, well then, just look at amoebas.
she could call Japan right now and probably get an operator that speaks her language, but What would she do? She could fly there. She's got enough credit. Well, what would she buy?
Imagine me standing in Japan, and I don't even know a good department store.
So the world is pretty big and tiny and scary and full of thick information. A commercial comes on the TV. She lost her train of thought. She's not sure she was making sense.
The real saying focuses on the person, but that's not as deep. Because we're all little bugs caught somewhere.
And our tract home doesn't seem so insincere. A little flushed. Edna starts to think about the bug in her pants.
Edna's not sure how dust piles up. How lately she feels like flat emotions sifting down on one another in no straight arrangement. Eddie's got a TV on in every room, and she's been dusting the living room screen for the last 10 minutes now, recalling vaguely the magazine where she read that the German language will pile up 4 words to make one noun, more if necessary. About this clarity, 4 words for one noun. How is it that her 4 emotions don't funnel into something? She's wiping Opie Taylor's face on the bedroom screen now. Opie's got a dilemma in his landscape full of dust and wood slat houses. How beautiful to watch Opie think out his place there. The difference bad boys make. Opie in the broken home. Lifetimes of stones skipping into the surfaces of ponds, rippling off somewhere beyond the screen. People do that. They just float away without the close expected. Edna vows to call every dying aunt she knows tonight to erase the blemish of sudden death. She'll find everyone a place in her mind. Lately, she can't leave anyone alone. Small voices wade in from the other room.
Hi, welcome to this old Chicago bungalow. Let's have a look inside and see what Nam has done today. You know, it's like I told Edna. When she asked me, did I ask him where the sump pump went when we bought this place? I said, Edna, I don't know. This is where the sump pump goes. In the deepest, darkest, dampest part of the basement. They got crickets down here, big enough to ride. And mutant spiders. I found a mouse down here once. Edna says,
You know, I'm not coming down there to clean until you move that poker top.
yeah, well, really, it's the bugs. She got a bug in her pants once, and I kid her about it. But she gets on me about the time in the old place when I went down in the crawl space and I saw these eyes glowing out at me. Boy, I bolted out of there fast. Turned out to be the cat that we don't own anymore.
Why don't you tell them about the dog?
Hey, I was cleaning that gun, and besides which, those were Cuban cigars.
Ooh.
Yeah, she laughs, but she'd pee her pants if she saw what's down here. There's radiation and fallout comes all the way down through the insulation in the attic, down through the kitchen and the basement. The walls sweat and drain down into this. And you know, you don't want this thing clogging up on you, you know. This is like the umbilical of the house. You know, you go down into this drain. And Edna, if I could go down in here, you know, I could come up I could go all the way out to Kankakee. I could go across the Mississippi River I could go to both coasts in Mexico where the sewers end. You don't want this thing clogging up on you. If I was a terrorist, I would invent a deadly strain of terrorist virus. I could let it loose right in this sewer.
Apparently the dog expired after having eaten a case of Cuban cigars. This just in. Famed inventor Eddie Witz has invented a new biological filter which fits over the standard sump pump, saving millions of Americans from the new deadly terrorist virus. Sales of Ed Inc. have skyrocketed. And now the weather. Jim?
Hey Edna, we got any cotton balls?
No.
What?
I mean, you know I can't hear you. The world's just too messy, Eddie thinks. Too many vials full of bad stuff. He glares at the TV. Honey, stop that. Give that to me. People handing out bleach to junkies. And stopping condom companies. What about Rock Hudson? Who let him in on this black humor? Used to be you could share your beer with anyone. Thanks, dear. Lend him a hand. Who spread this message, this stain on America? How many people can this thing flush through? Your homes. People stay home now, get to know their roots, and clean. They'll clean themselves up a little bit more, maybe wash their hair more often, scrape down the grill once in a while. And that's why Edna wipes down those floorboards. And no more of this peace brother contact in church, all those limbs moving over one another. Eddie's leather recliners become uncomfortable and hot, too sticky. The remote control needs new batteries.
And what is with the air conditioning?
The walls just answer blankly.
And
He peels himself off the leatherette.
there's no climate in here. There's no hum.
Lysol.
Do we have any Lysol?
This world needs a lot of Lysol. Eddie's breathing in germs, touching invisible diseases, walking hurriedly from TV screen to TV screen, clicking the remote control. He's swimming in his own sweat, listing all the friends he can't have over anymore. No more poker games. No cigars. Later, Edna, having returned home from Ladies' Day in the park, finds Eddie slumped in a corner of the game room, mosquito netting draped over his head, and a box of soap clutched in his hand. She's found him like this before. When Eddie shot the last person in his dream, he didn't feel like the garbage he expected. He didn't think of mother or a wide sand pit. He just felt finished, stopping his heartless stopwatch, kicking at the bloodless ground, fixing a ham and mayonnaise sandwich. It's true. Eddie had been dodging paradise all these years. In his lower middle management job. Now he felt better than a tire swing on a farm. Now he could speak to Edna about all the mistakes she's made throughout the marriage. When Eddie slipped down the basement in his dream and began catching his axe in the plasterboard, stripping it down to the stone foundation, something jiggled in his brain. People who laid this must have been brawny men, muscling stone against rock, filling in seams with rough hands. How should he arrange the box? He didn't know. These areas seemed gray. The poker top loomed in the corner, and it almost said, "Everyone has a place. You found yours. You're in it, Ed."
kill your animal any way you want. Me, I hunt ducks. I like to get up real early in the morning. Sometimes I don't even go to bed. I stay up all night and read my Abercrombie and Finch catalog. Try on my best LL Beans. This is my new llama skin jacket. Brand new thing, you know. My brother, he's an installation. He gave me a tip about flannel shirts. You take one, put them on inside out, another one right side in, kind of reflex the heat back and forth. He run me this up down at the shop. This is made out of genuine Alcoa fiberglass. I like to get up, throw the shotgun, get the dog and to pick me up, go down to the truck stop, drink 8, 10, 12, 15 cups of coffee, talk about double aught shot, spread ratios. You know, there's something poetic about a duck exploding into a halo of feathers. Bam! Bam! Get 'em, boy. You know, sometimes I think if I didn't hunt, I would still get up early, go out there, you know, not to kill them, just to throw a good scare into them, if you know what I mean. I'll tell you a little something down at the truck stop. They get a kick out of this, and that's my impression of the teal duck. I almost got shot a couple of times doing that down there. That's a real genuine expression. You know, like I told my son, I said, boy, if you see a duck, you kill him. Now, I can see why your hunter might want to take your automatic weapon out into the field, get rid of all of those little trees out in front for a better line of sight. You know, what if you're out there, you're after a squirrel, see? And all of a sudden, here comes a moose, and then there's a bear, lousy Boris, and what if you see a gang of coke-crazed crack dealers? You want to have a round of 70, you want to have a shotgun with a 30-pump cylinder on it. You want to, and let's say you're at home, and there's some burglars. You want to put one through the wall to let them know who's boss. Your standard 38 won't go through a single cinder block.
Sometimes things happen before you know it. An accident, dead end, blue light special at Kmart. Just half a second, the time it takes a mirror to flash sun in your eyes. That's just the time it took for Edna to realize she was being picked up. And Thursday the 13th at 2:38 p.m., after the lunch rush, when the cooks changed their greasy paper hats for fresh ones. The thing is, he was so natural, so poised. Well, the thing is, they trust you with your own ice there, the dispenser on the patron side of the counter. And well, it must have been a busy day, because when Edna tried to plop some ice in her Diet Mountain Dew, it just wouldn't spit out. It's like when you're at the movies, and you're sure there's a milk dud left in that box. You keep bumping the box over your mouth, trying to dislodge that dud, and it just doesn't happen. And then the box gets soggy, and your mouth starts to hurt. Well, here's Edna practically ruining her wax paper cup, jamming it up against that metal activator strip. Well, he appeared. He must have crept up very quietly, because when he said it, she just whirled around and saw him in a blaze of white light. He was staring right at her, straight through to the parking lot, and he held her eyes like snowflakes in a Moby. Her lips started trembling. She knew she couldn't help it. He had his left hand jammed in his pocket and the other thumbing his wax paper cup. So natural. Well, she just fled after it happened. Sometimes, when Edna's right about to slip off into sleep, when her nightgown is flush with her thighs, she hears him. He creeps up right behind her and says,
No ice?
Eddie?
towards nothing on the sill. Edna shifts her elbows to let blood flow momentarily between skin and bone. Water circles lazily down the Sunday drain, making tiny slurping noises, and Eddie's mumbling to himself in the yard again, dragging the rake, moving leaves like dollars, and she's half watching him, half her reflection in the glass. She thinks of a dime twirling in a cup. Eddie lets half the words he thinks out into the yard. Something about designer sand scattered on rich people's hot beaches. His rake now grooms the sand. Different colors of puce, teal, and cloud-colored sand. Eddie's raking in millions on his lawn, smiling, mouthing, somebody was bound to think of it, with a slight bow. What a lottery I married, Edna thinks. Eddie comes up from his bow, hoping to catch his reflection in the kitchen window, and sees Edna leaned over toward him on the other side. At that moment, 10 different faces and shades of blush appeared on that glass. That night, they try and make love. Something works.
Sometimes things happen before you know it. An accident, dead end, blue light special at Kmart. Just half a second, the time it takes a mirror to flash sun in your eyes. That's just the time it took for Edna to realize she was being picked up on Thursday the 13th at 2:38 p.m. after the lunch rush, when the cooks changed their greasy paper hats for fresh ones. The thing is, he was so natural, so poised. Well, the thing is, they trust you with your own ice there, the dispenser on the patron side of the counter. And well, it must have been a busy day, because when Edna tried to plop some ice in her Diet Mountain Dew, it just wouldn't spit out. It's like when you're at the movies, and you're sure there's a milk dud left in that box. You keep bumping the box over your mouth, trying to dislodge that dud. And it just doesn't happen. And then the box gets soggy, and your mouth starts to hurt. Well, here's Edna practically ruining her wax paper cup, jamming it up against that metal activator strip. Well, he appeared. He must have crept up very quietly, because when he said it, she just whirled around and saw him in a blaze of white light. He was staring right at her, straight through to the parking lot. And he held her eyes like snowflakes in a Moby. Their lips started trembling. She knew she couldn't help it. He had his left hand jammed in his pocket, and the other thumbing his wax paper cup. So natural. Well, she just fled after it happened. Sometimes, when Edna's right about to slip off into sleep, when her nightgown is flush with her thighs, she hears him. He creeps up right behind her and says,
No ice?
Eddie?
Then towards nothing on the sill. Edna shifts her elbows to let blood flow momentarily between skin and bone. Water circles lazily down the Sunday drain, making tiny slurping noises. And Eddie's mumbling to himself in the yard again, dragging the rake, moving leaves like dollars, and she's half watching him, half her reflection in the glass. She thinks of a dime twirling in a cup. Eddie lets half the words he thinks out into the yard. Something about designer sand scattered on rich people's hot beaches. His rake now brews the sand. Different colors of puce, teal, and cloud-colored sand. Eddie's raking in millions on his lawn, smiling, mouthing, somebody was bound to think of it, with a slight bow. What a lottery I married, Edna thinks. Eddie comes up from his bow, hoping to catch his reflection in the kitchen window, and sees Edna leaned over toward him on the other side. At that moment, 10 different faces and shades of blush appeared on that glass. That night, they try and make love. Something works.